there a work-life balance when you become a CRNA? Do CRNAs work long hours? Do they not have time for their family? You know, what to expect when you are a CRNA? How do you manage becoming a CRNA as well as having a family, having friends? We're going to discuss all of that because I've definitely have been having a lot of questions about that, and some questions as well as some comments that I want to make sure that I clarify that with you, because you need to know this, you need to know what to expect, and definitely keep watching. My name is Christine and welcome to a new video. Thank you for being here, okay? And I'm so excited to be here in another new video. And please subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss anything. I'm here as a CRNA practicing currently, and I'm here to give you all the knowledge and empowerment to become a CRNA. Especially nowadays, you know, people are like, oh, I want to become a CRNA. What's a CRNA? What can I do? You know, I'm here to give you all of that, to empower you, to give you knowledge. I feel knowledge is power, and the more knowledge you have, the more information you have, makes you a more stronger applicant and allows you to prepare yourself for the stepping stones to become a CRNA. And I want to make it as easy as possible so you know it, so you know all the information you need to know, so you can make a great decision, even if you don't know for sure if you want to become a CRNA. I'm here to kind of give that information to you right now. So, give you an example. So you say to yourself, man, I've heard CRNAs, they work long hours, they're never home with their family. Well, hold up a second. Certain CRNAs, depending on where you work, you know, the environment you're working, can work long hours. As well as maybe you're a person that want to work a lot of hours, a lot of overtime. That's different, you know. And also depends on your work, like for example, the culture of your unit. So that's something you got to consider. Now also depending on the season. You know, sometimes there's situations where you're working as a CRNA and maybe you're shortly staffed. So then you pick up some more hours, of course, to be a team player and to work more. But in general, looking at CRNAs over the spectrum, we have a really good work-life balance, in my opinion. I feel like you have, depending on where you work, sometimes you have set hours, maybe you have set calls, and those are some things to consider. Now, for example, when I had my first job, I worked in a level 1 trauma center. So and it was also a teaching institution as well. So when you think about that, now in that specific environment, in my specific hospital, we were always shortly staffed. So therefore, I had to work more hours to compensate because, you know, I have to work. So therefore, with my first job, I worked a lot of hours and I felt like my balance wasn't there. But when I have spoken, for example, to other CRNAs who travel to come to my hospital, of course, to help out because we were so shortly staffed, they were like, wow, you're working a lot here. And looking in general, because that was my first job, I didn't know any different. When I spoke to some other CRNAs who were traveling to visit, you know, to work and help out, they were like, no, this is not how all CRNA jobs are. It's not always going to be you're working all these hours. You have a lot of places you have set hours, set shifts, and if you want to pick up shifts, you can, but it's not like that. So my hospital where I was working every day, long hours. I barely was home, and it affected me because at first I was like, as a new CRNA, I was like, that's fine, I'm okay with it. I want to get as much experience as I can, especially since my new job. So I was okay with it for the first year to 2 years. I was like, it's okay because it's my new job. And of course, thinking about loans and graduating, you have that. You know, for me, I wasn't able to be fortunate enough to have family to pay for my schooling, as well as I had to take out loans. And I'm okay with it because I love what I do. But I had to make sure I had to start paying back loans, and I wanted to maximize and really budget and get rid of it. So I was like, it's fine. But then after a while, you know, you get burnt out. And no matter what area you are, maybe you're an ICU nurse currently, and you know what burnt out is, you know, and you're like, ugh, I know that feeling. I was getting burnt out. I was like, I cannot keep doing this anymore. This is not the life I want to live. And my husband and I decided that, you know what, maybe it's time to move on. And then I was thinking at one point, maybe I should become a travel, you know, CRNA. Maybe travel around the country, do different different contracts, maybe 3-month contract, 6-month contract, depending on where we're at. And the nice thing about traveling as a CRNA, yes, you have to leave and move around, but you get set hours. Maybe you want to do, 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, or maybe you want to do 4 10s, or you want to do 3 12s. It's a lot more flexibility when you are a traveler, for example. But then it came along that I have friends, of course, who decided that they were at the same institution we were at. And we were like, we need to move on. We need to get a better work-life balance. And so, so it's so interesting that a lot of us transitioned into another hospital. So at first I was going to travel. I was like, yes, I'm going to go travel. I'm going to go do this, do that. And then my friend was like, hey, this is a great place. It's amazing. I've heard good things about it. And you'll have better hours. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll look into it, And we were all excited about traveling. And then I was like, oh, I'm going to get more certain experience that I would not have gotten if I was, traveling. So I ended up working at a new hospital. I love it. Currently work there and I love it. I have better hours, So for example, for me, like I'm a part of the OB team. So I do 24-hour OB shift. Then I'll either do 2 8s, or I'll do 24-hour, a 10 and an 8, or a 24-hour and a 10 and a 10. So it depends on, the week, but that's how in general, our shift works. So you get sometimes you may have to pick up an extra shift depending on if we're short, but it's not really like that. So I pretty much have good shift hours. So I work if I wanted to pick up another job, I could, but for me, work-life balance. For me, I want my family. I want my children. I want to see my children grow up. I want to be a part of their experience. Especially nowadays, I guess we're all going through this whole transition with homeschooling. But I've been homeschooling my daughter since she was a little one. But I know the importance of being there for my child, really being a part of her education. And for me, I have the patience and I enjoy it. So I love being a part of that. And so definitely on my days off, I'm definitely part of that, doing a lot of activities with my family, and also my husband is, of course, he has a YouTube channel and he's doing a lot of YouTube things. So I have to also, when I'm home, I take over with the children, and then he does his whole, YouTube thing, and he needs physically an 8-hour shift where he has to do his work, either he's in the office or maybe he's going out and doing it outdoors, but we kind of work together as a team. So with my job, I'm able to do that. So working maybe 3 days a week, I get to do that with my family. And however, another thing at my hospital I currently work at, you can do 5 8s, for example, or you could do 4 10s, but it's kind of rotates around at my hospital. So it all depends on, the rotation. But you pretty much work 40 hours a week. You may have to do call, for example, maybe once or twice a week. Usually it's once a week, and you may do a weekend. But it's a pretty good situation because, you get really called in because it's a smaller hospital. So to give you an example of that, yes, for me, work-life balance is there. And also think about it too. If you are working at a surgery center, for example, or a dental office or plastic surgeon office, for example, or you're working at a smaller institution, you're not really working crazy hours. On average. Of course, depending on the place, you never know. But you pretty much got your hours, you're doing 4 8, 4 10s, or however you want to do, depending on the hours. Maybe you're doing 40 hours a week. So you have a work-life balance, which it does work itself out. And of course, if you work in a surgery center, for example, which is amazing, you get nights, weekends, holidays off. So it's pretty nice. But I don't work in a surgery center, but people who do work in a surgery, they get that benefit, added perk. So just think about that too. It depends on the institution, depends on the place you're working, how your balance is. But honestly, it reminds me of being a nurse, for example. When I was a ICU nurse, for example, I did 3 12s, and maybe once a month or something, or depending on the pay period, I would do an extra 12 to make up the hours. So on average, even as an ICU nurse, you can even work maybe 5 8s, for example, or 4 10s. Similar type of shift when you're thinking about becoming a CRNA. It's very similar. So when you're thinking about work-life balance, it's definitely there. Depends on the institution, depends on the place, and you can choose what area you want to work at. There's so many jobs out there to become a CRNA. I mean, it's open-ended. And if you wanted to work more hours, you want to moonlight in another institution, or you want to work at a specific dental office, there's so much opportunity to grow. So definitely think about that, becoming a CRNA. Don't think that you're going to be working crazy hours. It all depends on you and what you're looking for. Just like ICU nursing, it's kind of pretty much your choice if you want to work more hours. So definitely take that into consideration. And so if you want to learn more about CRNAs and how to grow your CRNA, definitely click this video over here. It's about day in the life of a CRNA, and that video right over here of how I love being a CRNA. Okay? Thanks for watching. Thank you.